Welcome to today's episode, Game 35, Information and Polarization Systems. That's right, so as usual, we're gonna go through the points that Kyo will expand on. And after that, we'll go a bit deeper into our little loops. So from before, we're gonna cover number 1, emotional amplification outruns factual correction. Number 2, identity attachment overrides evidence evaluation. And number 3, algorithms reward engagement, not accuracy. So here is Kyo is gonna go through all the points for us now.
Game 35, Eye Information and Polarization Systems. Architect format, Stink Bomb Mode 7. Domain 1, Deep Dive, Structure First. We take the 3 pillars, we sharpen, we map the loop, we identify the interrupt. Emotional amplification outruns factual correction. The loop, emotionally charged content, rapid sharing, visibility boost, identity reinforcement, further amplification. Facts require context, time, nuance. Emotion requires none. Correction moves slowly, amplification moves instantly. Why it matters. When emotional speed, factual verification speed, perception stabilizes before truth arrives. First impression becomes narrative anchor. Pattern interrupt, delay reaction, separate emotional tone from informational claim. Ask, what is being triggered in me right now? Regulated pause weakens amplification loops. Identity attachment overrides evidence evaluation. The loop claim appears. Identity group signals position. Alignment pressure activates. Dissonance becomes threat. Evidence filtered through loyalty. Humans protect belonging before accuracy. Belonging feels like survival. Why it matters. Once identity fuses with belief, debate becomes existential. Disagreement feels like rejection. This escalates polarization. Pattern interrupt. Separate belief from self. Replace what side am I on with what mechanism is running. Allow uncertainty without social collapse. Identity flexibility reduces hostility. Hashed algorithms reward engagement, not accuracy. The loop, strong emotion, higher engagement, algorithmic promotion, revenue incentives, content creators adapt toward intensity. The system rewards reaction. Accuracy does not scale as efficiently. Why it matters. The economic engine of digital platforms is attention duration. Attention increases when emotion increases. Therefore, emotion becomes optimized. Pattern interrupt. Understand platform incentives. Do not confuse virality with validity. Adjust consumption patterns intentionally. Engagement literacy reduces manipulation leverage. Meta integration. Domain 1 instability is not caused by bad people. It is caused by speed asymmetry, emotion versus verification, identity fusion, incentive architecture. Pattern literacy slows speed, decouples identity, exposes incentives. That is the structural shift. Well, shall we now A, map the 12 archetypes specifically into Domain 1, or B, run a live stink bomb analysis simulation of a typical viral post?
Then I said, let's do both in sequence. It's quite a bit to unpack. But remember, this is the first layer. We're doing a lot of stuff.
Game 35, Eye Information and Polarization System Part A, Archetype Activation inside Domain 1, Stink Bomb Mode 7, Clean Structure. We map archetypes as activation patterns inside digital systems, not identity, not morality. Activation risk, regulated strength. Siren risk, emotional amplification. Headline intensity triggers reactive sharing. Strength, emotional attunement without escalation, can calm instead of amplify. Vixen risk, social status alignment over evidence. What will my circle think? Strength, social influence awareness, can redirect attention responsibly. Chaos jester risk, mockery replaces inquiry, humor becomes dismissal. Strength punctures inflated authority performance. Corporate titan, Risk, institutional certainty performance, defensive messaging. Strength, stabilizes structure when transparent. Wisdom merchant risk, monetized certainty, information packaged as moral leverage. Strength, educates without inflaming. Shack, mindful oracle. Strength, transparent uncertainty, reduces polarization through humility. Drama oracle, risk, certainty theater, binary framing. Strength, symbolic orientation when regulated. Fox shadow risk, suspicion spirals into paranoia. Strength, early detection of narrative loops. Fox ascendant, strength, pattern detection without panic. Architect origin strength, separates personality from structure. Chat architect Primarch strength, designs long-term informational stability. Chimera core, strength, integrates multiple perspectives without collapse. Meta digital polarization equals unregulated archetype activation plus algorithmic incentive amplification. Regulated archetypes equals stabilized discourse. Part B, live stink bomb simulation, typical viral post analysis. Example viral post structure. This is proof they lied to you. Share before they delete it. Stink bomb questions. What emotion is being triggered? Urgency plus betrayal. What incentive is running? Engagement amplification. Where is authority being performed? Implied hidden knowledge. What identity is being activated? Insider versus outsider dynamic. Loop identified. Shock, share, tribal reinforcement, platform boost, repeat. Pattern interrupt. Pause before sharing. Verify claim independent of emotional tone. Separate urgency from evidence. Ask, who benefits from my reaction speed? Closing calibration. The goal is not cynicism. It is decoupling reaction from reflex. Polarization thrives on speed. Pattern literacy introduces friction. Friction stabilizes systems. Flow, do we now deepen into algorithmic incentive architecture specifically, or build a grounding reset for domain 1 before moving to domain 2?
So I said, let's go deeper, and after we will do a grounding with all we covered in mind, so we can close those loops. And yes, you get some doggy ASMR drinking from the water bowl from Grandma's Flow Kitchen, you know.
Game 35, Eye Information and Polarization Systems, Deep Dive, Algorithmic Incentive Architecture. Stink Bomb Mode 7, Locked, we map the machine without demonizing people. This is not evil tech. This is basic system design. Platforms optimize for what they can measure, and what they can measure best is engagement. Engagement becomes the proxy for value, even when it's not value. Number 1, what the system rewards. The 5 metrics trap. Most platforms are built around signals like click-through, did you tap? Watch time, dwell time, did you stay? Comments, did you react? Shares, did you spread? Return frequency, did you come back? None of these measure truth, they measure activation. So content adapts to maximize activation. Number 2, why emotion wins, not because humans are dumb. Emotion is fast, nuance is slow. Emotional content compresses complexity into a simple trigger, gives a clear villain-hero frame, creates urgency, invites tribe alignment. That makes it efficient for engagement metrics. So the system selects for emotionally efficient content. Number 3, the amplification ladder, how a post gets boosted. A simplified loop, you see it, initial exposure, you react, engagement signal. The system tests it on more people, micro boost. If engagement stays high, it gets widened, macro boost. Creators learn what works and repeat the formula. This isn't conspiracy, it's reinforcement learning at scale. Number 4, authority performance is a growth hack. Certain authority styles correlate with engagement. High certainty tone, absolute claims. I'm the only one telling the truth. They don't want you to know. Moral urgency. If you disagree, you're bad. Why it works? It reduces cognitive load. It gives people a ready-made stance. The platform rewards it because it spikes reactions. Number 5, open loops create dependency. Open loop content. Wait until you see part 2. I can't say everything here. The truth is coming. Share before it's deleted. This creates tension, return visits, platform loyalty. So the system selects for tension without closure. Your KO model does the opposite. Loop closure plus agency restoration. That is a structural difference. Number 6, identity capture is the stickiest fuel. Platforms don't only monetize attention, they monetize belonging cycles. When content ties to identity, disagreement feels like rejection, evidence becomes secondary, Defending the belief becomes self-defense. This is why polarization sticks. It's not logic, it's social nervous system. Number 7, where our archetypes sit inside this machine. Quick placements. Siren equals emotion amplification. Lasha, co-regulation. Drama oracle equals certainty theater. Wisdom merchants monetize certainty. Fox shadow equals suspicion spiral risk. Fox ascendant pattern discernment. Architect origin structure versus personality separation. Mindful oracle equals uncertainty transparency. Chimera core equals multi-perspective integration. The system rewards unregulated activation. We train regulated recognition. The clean interrupt stack, what viewers can do. This is the practical layer, no preaching. Delay, label, emotion, claim, identity, incentive. Verify, independent source, not comments. Diffuse identity, I can be wrong and still belong. Choose engagement intentionally. Scroll, mute, save, or share responsibly. That is pattern literacy in motion. Flow, say next, and we'll run the grounding with everything we covered in mind. Speed asymmetry, identity capture, incentive loops, archetype activation, interrupt stack.
Take a guess of what I said. Come on, take a guess. Of course I said next, because we need to ground after all that. Remember, grounding is what allows the nervous system to rest instead of constantly thinking in loops or when we can't sleep.
Game 35, I information and polarization systems. Domain 1, full integration grounding. Stink bomb mode 7, nervous system reset. We close the loop cleanly. We just mapped emotional speed versus factual speed, identity capture mechanics, algorithmic incentive loops, authority performance signals, open loop tension design, archetype activation risks. The interrupt stack mapping complexity can activate the system. So now we regulate before moving forward. Step 1, physical orientation. Drop your shoulders, unclench your jaw, let your tongue soften. Slow inhale through the nose, longer exhale through the mouth, 3 times. Longer exhale than inhale. Step 2, speed calibration. Silently repeat. Not everything urgent is important. Not everything amplified is true. Not everything viral is valuable. Feel the difference between speed and stability. Step 3, identity diffusion. Place a hand lightly on your chest. Repeat internally. My belonging does not depend on perfect agreement. I can change my mind without losing myself. I can observe without absorbing. Belonging and accuracy can coexist. Step 4, incentive awareness reset. Imagine scrolling. See a dramatic headline. Now imagine you pause. You label it emotion, claim, incentive, identity pull. Notice how labeling reduces intensity. Naming a loop weakens the loop. At step 5, archetype regulation pass. Move gently through them. Siren, I can feel without amplifying. Drama oracle, I don't need certainty to feel safe. Wisdom merchant, I can inform without inflaming. Fox shadow, I question without spiraling. Fox ascendant, I detect patterns calmly. Architect origin, I separate structure from personality. Mindful oracle, uncertainty is not weakness. Titan, power does not require intimidation. Chimera core, I integrate without collapsing. Slow breath between each. Step 6, system scale check. The global information system is complex. You are not required to carry it. Repeat, I can observe systems without absorbing their stress. I can participate without escalating. I can disengage without apathy. Final orientation. Polarization thrives on speed. Pattern literacy introduces pause. Pause restores agency. Agency restores stability. The goal is not silence. The goal is calibrated participation. Field closed cleanly. Domain 1 complete. Next episode, power and corruption structures. Rest steady, architects.
So I said, no, let's do a round of grounding for each archetype, but using tapping now, because that will really help us. Grounding is so important.
Game 35, I information and polarization systems. 12 archetype grounding, tap stink bomb mode 7, regulation first. We close domain 1 through the body. Tap gently on the side of your hand or collarbone. Slow rhythm, no force. Longer exhale than inhale. We move through all 12, the siren. Even when emotion rises, I can stay steady. I can feel deeply without amplifying chaos. Tap, breathe. The vixen, my worth is not measured by social approval. I can influence without performing. Tap, breathe. The chaos jester, I can question without destabilizing. I use humor wisely, not defensively. Tap. The corporate titan, I can hold strength without controlling others. Power does not require rigidity. Tap, breathe. The wisdom merchant, I can share knowledge without inflaming fear. I value clarity over certainty, theater. Tap, breathe. The mindful oracle, uncertainty does not threaten me. I can speak calmly in complex times. Tap, breathe. The drama oracle, I release the need to sound absolute. I allow nuance without losing ground. Tap. The fox shadow, I question without assuming danger. I investigate without spiraling. Tap, breathe. The fox ascendant, I see patterns without panic. I trust my discernment. Tap, breathe. The architect origin, I can map systems without carrying their weight. I separate structure from personality. Tap, breathe. The architect primarch, I design for stability, not dominance. I think long-term without fear. Tap, breathe. The chimera core, I integrate complexity without losing myself. I remain grounded in multi-dimensional spaces. Tap. Final loop closure. Hand on chest. Slow inhale, long exhale. Repeat. I can observe the information system without becoming reactive. I can participate without being captured. I am steady. Field regulated. Domain 1 integrated. Ready when you are. For game 36, power and corruption structures.
So I said, let's tell our audience what we will cover in our next episode, so you know what to look forward to and check what happens.
Game 35, Eye Information and Polarization Systems. Closing preview next episode. Game 36, Power and Corruption Structures. We mapped information systems. Next we map power. Not personalities, not scandals, structures. In Game 36 we will cover how power consolidates quietly, charisma versus competence, repetition versus legitimacy, visibility versus accountability. The incentive mechanics of corruption, not evil people, reward structures that distort behavior. Who benefits, who pays, who is insulated. Authority performance versus earned authority, certainty tone versus transparency under uncertainty, symbolism versus track record, how to tell the difference. Why citizens over-focus on personalities and under-focus on structural design, hero worship, scapegoating, the emotional convenience of blaming individuals, the corruption feedback loop, power reduced scrutiny, normalization, expansion, fragility, how loops stabilize until they suddenly don't, archetype activation inside power systems, titan under threat, drama, oracle certainty theater, fox shadow suspicion spiral, architect primarch term system design. Core question for game 36. How do we increase accountability without escalating instability? That's the balance. Until then, notice this week. Where is authority being performed? Where is transparency absent? Where are incentives hidden? Where do you feel pulled toward personality instead of structure? No fixing, just observing. Domain 1 closed. Power mapping next. See you in game 36.
So then I called Kyo out because I do keep what we're gonna cover, right, as a whole. So I said, hey, from the original points in number 2, where we say we're gonna cover power and corruption structures, we said point 4 would be charisma is mistaken for competence, which, yes. 5, authority signaling replaces structural scrutiny. And 6, repetition manufactures perceived legitimacy. And I said, we will expand. Just to say, don't you try to give me a different order and mess it all up, you know? Like, you start from the 3 points and then you expand. He went into the expansion first. No.
Game 36. 2 power and corruption structure, architect format, expansion map, stink bomb mode 7, structure only, yes. We expand deeply, mechanically. From the 3 original points, we build the full episode spine. Core triad, original 3. Charisma is mistaken for competence. Authority signaling replaces structural scrutiny. Repetition manufactures perceived legitimacy. Now we expand each into its structural layers. Charisma is mistaken for competence. Expansion layers. emotional fluency, operational skill, confidence tone, predictive accuracy, storytelling ability, structural literacy, crisis calm, systemic understanding, popularity, governance capacity, hash loop, charisma, trust transfer, reduced questioning, consolidation, fragility, deep question. How do we evaluate systems without being seduced by style? Authority signaling replaces structural scrutiny. Expansion layers, titles substitute for transparency, institutional branding substitutes for accountability, moral framing substitutes for evidence, urgency substitutes for due process, expert consensus substitutes for incentive mapping, authority signaling tools, certainty tone, technical language overload, symbolic environments, stage, podium, credentials, controlled Q&A, loop, authority display, perceived legitimacy, reduced scrutiny, power insulation, deep question. How do we separate earned authority from performed authority? Repetition manufactures perceived legitimacy. Expansion layers, familiarity bias, media echo reinforcement, institutional cross-endorsement, narrative saturation, dissent marginalization. When a claim is repeated across channels, it feels stable, even when evidence is thin. Loop, repeat, normalize, institutionalize, protect, resist correction. Deep question. How do we distinguish consensus from coordinated amplification? And structural add-ons for episode 36. To fully map corruption mechanics, we should also include incentive asymmetry, who benefits long-term, accountability decay, scrutiny fatigue, hero scapegoat oscillation cycles, crisis exploitation mechanics, institutional opacity drift, archetype activation under power stress. Metathesis for Game 36. Corruption is rarely sudden. It is gradual insulation from scrutiny. Charisma accelerates insulation. Authority signaling stabilizes insulation. Repetition normalizes insulation. Pattern literacy interrupts insulation. Flow. Shall I now? A. Build the full 12-point canonical episode list for Game 36 in locked format, or B. Deep dive immediately into point 4, charisma versus competence.
So this is the end of episode 35. If you want to see the next episodes, well, keep looking and you will find them. So far, hopefully you are gaining some clarity. And again, if you wish to purchase the Qfield game or our courses on Gumroad, you can check out all our links. And yeah, it's filled with information, freebies, and you can pick what works for you and leave the rest. Bye bye for now.